Hey everyone. I said what's up guys and there was no audio because I realized my mic wasn't in front of me, so sorry about that. Sweet. Let me download these. All right, you guys, we are going to go over a few things. Oh shoot. Let me do this real quick. What's up, Lena? How are you tonight? This will be put back on there. Just close that, reopen it. Downloads. Nakara, what's up? You said you just checked what you turned in and it's for a different class. Is this for, let's see. Is that for the brief? The design brief? Or is this for, okay, an English thing. Okay. Do you have your design brief, Nakara? If you have it, just send it to me over Slack right now. And I'll get it. If you have your design brief, just submit it to me over Slack. And just throw something in the chat and we'll go over it. But today we're going to do our questions. First, we're going to go through participation questions. This is the last participation question that I'm going to give you guys, actually. I don't think that over the next couple weeks, well, let me see. Let's see how many more weeks we have. 1, 2. Yeah, I think this is going to be the last participation question that we're going to do. So moving forward, we're going to be working on the color scope project. We still have to assemble our reel together, and then we have our final revision round for the other projects that we haven't quite gone over, or that I've given you feedback on, but wasn't included in the first revision round. So those are, those are the last few projects that we have in this class, right? And so they're going to kind of overlap each other a little bit, specifically the revision round, which I'll probably give you guys next week. But I wanted to let you guys wait for the revision round until I got all of the color scopes in. Or I'm sorry, not the color scopes, all of the custom 3 scene animations in. Hold on, let me do something real quick, so that I have time to like grade all of them. So those are due by Thanksgiving, end of night. So make sure you get those custom 3 scene animations turned in. And yeah, I'll grade them, and then we'll start the revision round process next week while we're doing the rest of the process for the color scope. So but tonight I want to go over your design briefs and the questions that you guys have, so that I can see like kind of maybe some techniques that you guys might want to use for some classes later on within the next couple weeks. Do you guys have any questions about that right now? I'm probably going to go over whoever's in class today first too. Let's listen to Jade's question.
Hello, I'm Jade. I want to create a 3D Jade in the color scope assignment. Can you show me how to do it? Thank you.
Create a 3D.
The J in the 3D J in the color scope assignment. Can you show me how to do it?
Yeah,
you.
so what we'll do is we'll start the techniques, I think, probably next week for the color scope assignment. And so, let me write that down actually. What I'll do is I'll create a document. I'll create a document that we can post up for the class or something. You guys can submit 1 or 2 techniques that you might want to learn for this assignment specifically. And I'll have that due before next Tuesday's class. And that way we can, I can have an idea for next Thursday's class, maybe what kind of things I need to show you guys how to do. So, because that, yeah, I'm happy, Jade, you asked that, but I want it like written down. I had a hard time hearing if you say you wanted to make a 3D jade or a 3D chain. So, just let me know which one specifically. But like I said, I'll create a new module for you guys where you guys can just submit. Maybe I want to learn how to do this. Or I need to know how to make water in After Effects or something like that, right? And I'll kind of have an idea based on your design briefs. I should be able to have an idea of what maybe those techniques might also be, but yeah, we'll do that. So thanks for saying that, Jade. I still want to write down a note for myself. Here, let me type it to myself. Just give me a second, guys. Lena said in the chat. So the only homework for this week is finishing up the custom 3-scene animation and moving on to the next stage of the color scope. Correct, yeah. And then obviously right now I'm going to give you guys like the option to write in. It'll be optional. I'm not going to make it like worth any points or anything. But if you do want to know, just submit something and then I'll have that written down for me. And I can download like a little list or write down a list. And maybe if I need to figure out a technique for you guys, I can do that as well. So yeah, right. I think the next stage we're going to move forward is I'm going to go over your design briefs tonight, give you feedback on them, and then we're going to probably cut the VO for next week's class so I can hear your guys' voiceovers. And then we're going to talk about doing an animatic next week, and then we're going to get into some techniques as well. Because next week is, let's see, the 27th through the 1st, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes left, but 5 classes really, because this one is the last class, which we'll do. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Yep. All right, hold on. Let me write myself an email. No, sent. All right, cool. Let me close this out. All right, Nakara. What's up, dude?
So my question for the week is, after we're done with the color space, do we have a review after this, or will this take us to our final assignment of the school semester?
Yeah. Yeah, this is like the final big project, right? So over the next 5 classes, gosh, that's so fast. It feels like ridiculously quick. Did I count that right? I feel like I'm wrong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. Or no, yeah, 5 because we don't have classes Thursday. I'm like feeling a little crazy right now thinking about that. Yeah, so we're gonna kind of just overlap that. We're just gonna have another revision round for the let's see, it'll be for the Eve project, and the Monarch Butterfly and the custom 3 scene animation. Those 3 projects you're gonna do revisions on that I gave you revisions to do. And then we're gonna work this next week, and the following week on the color scope project, and then we're also going to touch on putting the reel together for your final thing. So I'll probably go over next week. I'll actually probably have you guys just shoot your voiceover. We'll skip the animatic maybe, and just go right into animation. I'll still talk about the animatic option for you guys, but let's kind of see where we get today. But yeah, this is the last big project that you have other than the reel. But the reel is just taking all of your videos that you've done revision rounds or the revisions to, right? And putting them all together with music and a title and information at the end. So you're just going to take all those videos, bring them into After Effects, and then you're going to just sequence them, different scenes together and stuff to create reel for your guys' self. I can show you. Let's see if I have. Let's see if my website's still up and running. Yeah. If you guys just go to my website, you can see an example of an animation reel, right? If I play this, you guys can look through this and see that it's just my work being put together with music and just showing off my animation skills, right? Different skills that I've used in different projects. And that's all it is basically a review of all that stuff. So if you guys want it, you can go to my website and look at that for like an idea of it, or you can Google reels, like animation reels, and you'll see a bunch. You can go to different studio websites and see their reels and stuff. But now you guys can start kind of putting these ideas into your head, what you might want to start stitching together, but we'll go over that in a separate class for you. All right, let me, oh, you weren't done with your question either. Let me play that.
The color space, do we have a review after this, or will this take us to our final assignment of the
Nope, you asked the question. Okay. Josh.
Hi.
What's up?
So for the color scope project, we were supposed to choose monochromatic colors.
Correct.
I was curious what colors you would have chosen.
Because I've seen this project many times, I probably would have picked like a canary yellow or something that I'm not like necessarily. I mean, I'm drawn to blues, purples, greens, pinks, tones like that. But I love all colors, so probably something that maybe cornflower blue. If I could do that, maybe something really more specific so that I would have to do more research into it. But I've seen this project a million times, so that's probably why. All right, Natalie.
Hello, it's Natalie, and I just have a question instead of the color scope one for the 3 scene ones, I'm just being a little extra, but I was wondering if there's an easier way to do in blocking animation. Right now, this one's just like the idle pose for that Petrodon, and I'm still trying to like make sure everything's kind of smoothed
That
out,
thing
not
looks cool.
clipping too much or anything. I had one before, but actually,
First of all, that's funny. Big Boy Idol, Dime Boy. These are funny.
so
Names. You might want to get used to like, I mean, if it, because this is a personal project, you don't have to worry about it. You already know. But like, for professional projects, I just recommend maybe not naming them like that, because if you ever have to hand your project off, that's like the only thing I'm thinking of. Other than that, name it anything you want. If no one's ever going to see the project, who cares? Name your comps anything. As far as like a walk cycle goes, they're never super easy. You really have to kind of study how an animal's leg touches the ground during certain times, right? Like how many feet are on the ground especially with the quadruped, at one time during like however they're walking, right? Because each thing is different. Your feet are going to hit the ground at different times when you're walking versus running versus jogging versus skipping. You know, there's a bunch of different actions that you can be doing or motions that you could be making that are going to require something different. So it's really a lot of studying videos, studying the animals themselves. Obviously, you can't go out and study whatever this thing is, but anything probably close to like something with short arms, maybe like a monitor lizard or some kind of like larger, like a Komodo dragon might be suitable to like watch that and learn how to animate
I have
that. But
another one written down for I can try that, but
there's no easy way. It's
think
just
I do have a question on the color scope. I actually thought the whole thing was due today on the 20th. I
no.
didn't fully read the announcement when you first sent it. But question was if depending on like on the sentence that we wrote and if would it be possible if we made like a slight change to it? We would just like message you or
Yeah,
anything.
I'm gonna go over
That's all
those
for today. Thank
today.
you.
I think you turned yours in. So I'm gonna go over those today and then I'll give you any kind of feedback if you need to change it. If you want to update it, you can just message me. Um, if you feel like it's something that you're going to want the feedback on or that I'm going to give you feedback on, then I would. But if it's just a word or two, whatever, go ahead and do that. But if it's like changing a whole sentence or something like that, you can check in with me. You can just send me a message in Slack on what that's going to be or send me an email through Canvas and I'll just approve or let you know if you can rewrite it a little differently. So but yeah, cool. There's unfortunately no easier way for the walk cycles with animals. There's tutorials. There's plenty of tutorials online. Let's go here. Duick. Look at Nakara, dude. I see you. It's like Inception. Sorry. Duick, Angela. Let me spell it right. Animal. Let's just type that. Don't I mean you guys can watch this one, but I am telling you right now that dog's legs move in the wrong way. These front legs do not move that way, so you have to think of that stuff that looks so awkward because of that. Um, the rest of the walk it doesn't look bad, right? But like something like that can really throw you off. So you guys really, I would recommend, this one's a good tutorial to watch. Um, and it kind of talks you through, this is how to use to do a tail animation. Um, but you can just type in animal, Duick Angela animal, and then you're going to find a ton of different, like, Duick Basil is the beginning one. So you might watch that, but things, like settings and stuff inside of the script might look differently for you. So just an FYI. And then here, Jake in Motion, his channel, he talks about how to animate a biped, so a human. So if you guys, you don't have to put these things in your videos. In fact, probably don't want to because they take a long time, depending on what kind of time you guys have, how many classes you're in, what you're doing on your off time. If you have time to do that stuff, go ahead and do it for, your projects if you want to. But if you don't have the time, I put these resources here for you guys so that you can take these with you after class too, right? All you have to do is subscribe to his channel and you guys know it. And you'll always have that script for you because it's free, and at some point they'll update it to something else and then you can use that. And then once you get comfortable with those, you can purchase scripts that do the same thing but maybe have a better layout and a better way of working, right? But we got to start somewhere. So, and that's free for you guys. But just because I posted it in the custom 3-scene animation module, it doesn't mean you have to do it. So this whole animation, Natalie, that you have of like kind of just a standby animation, like just standing there like they do for video games and stuff, that's fine. I'm not going to knock you for that. The other way you can hide it is by putting things in front of their legs. Like, right? Like if he goes in the water, putting him in the water and just changing the position of him. That's a great way. I guess that's a way you could animate it easier, right? So let's kind of just real quick open this back up. It's just a clever way to animate a character without having to do limb animations, because that is when things get complex, because you have to think about like I said, when things are touching the ground, you have to think about how the rest of the body moves, how the rest of the limbs move when something's hitting the ground, because we don't just walk stiffly in a straight line. Everything is very fluid. All right, whatever. Let me just delete these. Okay. Comps. Cat. All right, so if this cat were walking, let's say there was a brick wall, right? And this cat, or bushes or something here, that this cat was walking behind. A great way to show a walk cycle, or just like give the hint of a walk cycle, would be to put that there. Obviously this would look nicer. You'd want to draw like maybe even a couple separate ones, right? But then you would just animate the position of the body, kind of like in the head and the tail. You'd animate those things, but you could get away with like just animating the position, not only this way, but every once in a while you'd animate it. Let's see here. Let's separate the dimensions of the body. And we'll start here. We'll start with the X position there. And let's say we go 2 seconds ahead. And then this cat walks all the way off screen, right? So as we're playing it, the cat's moving off screen. I'd probably increase the timing of that, because that cat's, unless he's like scurrying to get something, might even put it at 5 seconds. You want it to be like a nice steady motion, right? Then maybe he starts there and then kind of as he's walking moves up a little bit, move a little bit further, goes back down, copy paste, not X position but the Y, copy paste. I don't know why there was an X done there as well. There we go. Right, and then he goes maybe a little bit further down here. He'd go back up. And then a little bit further here, he goes down. And you'd have to work on the timing of this so that it looks believable based on how a cat would walk, right? But at that point, so you've got this cat moving across there, kind of sells that I'd probably shorten this, because a cat's steps are pretty quick, even though he might be moving slowly across the screen. His up and down motion would be fairly faster than what it is right now. I know I could grab these and hold Alt and shorten them that way, but I just want to show you guys how you can kind of start messing around with your keyframes to that was a weird question. Let's see. See how that just kind of sells that he's moving that speed and up and down at the same time, at a similar speed. So because he was moving his vertical movement was too slow for how quickly he was moving across the screen. Because if you watch a cat, they bounce up and down kind of fast depending on how they're moving across the. They slink if they're a little bit slower, depending on what they're doing. So you just kind of want to mess around with your timing, and then you can come in here and take these and round them out at some point. Let's see here. Grab the Y position. You'd obviously want to ease everything once you've got the animation blocked out. I'd probably select this one and grab my convert vertex tool and I'd click on it. Or ease this. Let's see. There we go. Easing it allows for these all to be nice and rounded. So it's not just like a peak like this. It's like a nice smooth motion that you'll have. So F9 on that. And you'd want to continue it just so you guys can have an idea on how to create an animation of an animal moving, but also it's just a very simple trick on how to hide the extra work, right? So you can do a character animation where the character's moving across the screen, but they're only from the waist up. And then you only have to animate the arms and the head and stuff. So you're doing only half the work. But just kind of a quick tip there for you guys if you want to do it that way. I think I got a... Okay, Lena, cool. Okay, cool. Let me keep that up on screen because I'll remember that for the next thing. Here is Tristan.
My main question is, since this is just a design brief for the color scope project, when is the actual time we're gonna have to make it
animate it?
Be due?
Within
you'll probably already have the thing up by the time you feel this, but
yeah,
I figured I'd ask anyway.
Yeah. So
just in case if you didn't.
I think the final due date of the color scope
that's all.
Is going to be the same time as your reel is due, because I'm probably not going to have you guys put your color scope in your reel. The reel is just going to be its separate thing with all the past projects. And then you guys can go ahead and add the color scope later if you want to. But that gives you time. This gives you 5 classes to work on this and get all of this stuff done. And I think that the final version, because I'm going to want to see a first version, and then we're going to... I'm going to give you feedback on it and you're going to implement that feedback. So you're going to have like a separate revision round on your color scope that is just going to be like an assignment that I'm going to go over in class. So it's not going to really be, I just want to see the first draft, then the second draft, and then the final draft will be the one that you guys turn in on the last day of class, which is the 14th. So with that being said, your first draft is probably going to be due next week. Or I'm sorry, the week after. The second draft will be due around like the 12th or something. And then the final cut will be due around the 14th. So we're going to have some time to work on it. But that's why I wanted to stretch this project out a little bit more, because it's a bigger project that we're working on. And you're doing more steps and there's more like thought and planning behind this project than your other projects, right? Let's go to the next question. Melissa.
Hello, my question is in the PDF, this question. I had a hard time trying to understand what it meant, and I hope I answered correctly the what it was asked for. Thank you. Have a great day.
Yeah, let's see here. Please discuss one of the scenes with a compelling juxtaposition of a voiceover versus animation, which means watching those color scope videos and explaining what you're hearing on screen, what you're hearing in the voiceover versus what you're seeing on screen. Because like I was talking about when we first introduced these color scopes and we were going over them, they have a lot of like abstract imagery or these just kind of ideas that convey whatever the voiceover is talking about versus like a very direct visualization of what the voiceover says. And you'll see this a lot when they talk about energy, waveforms, like color, the color on the color spectrum, those kind of things is where you're going to see a lot of that. So we'll go over it. Please transcribe the voiceover for this scene and describe why you think its combination of audio visual was effective. Just like say what the voiceover is saying for it. I'm not going to be super critical about this stuff. I'll probably just brush over this section really quickly. This is good for you guys for your like background information and for the planning to like start breaking videos down when you're watching them, because that helps us to learn, right? Is like you watch a video, for instance, watching the new Spider-Man animations, which are chef's kiss phenomenal. First of all, not only like breaking down what you're seeing, right, but also the things that you're hearing. So like the music, along with like the script that was written for the video, breaking those things down and trying to figure out how did they make this, why do I really like this scene, or why do I really like this in particular. I don't know if you guys have seen the new Spider-Man movie, but the scene that always just sticks in my head is when Miles and Gwen are sitting and they're talking, and they're sitting upside down on like the bottom. So there's like a building, and there's this part of the building that juts out, and they're sitting on the bottom, but they're like stuck there. So like you have to think they have to account for gravity of the hair and kind of other things while they're like sitting upside down on this pillar thing that's sticking out from the wall. And it was just really amazing because then, depending on what the shot was showing, whether it was showing them right side up or whether it was showing them upside down, the world had to be, you know, either upside down, like the background had to change based on the way the shot was. And it's just really cool to sit there and break those things down. And so that's what this part of the design brief really teaches you guys, is to start watching videos and breaking them down, what you're hearing, what you're seeing, and writing those things out. That's the biggest point of that section of this project. So you could have, I'll go through it, but I'm going to focus more on your guys' script and your storyboards in there.
Hello,
Jesus.
something I was worried about was just when writing the script we only wrote 4 sentences, but there's supposed to be like 5 to 6 scenes total for this project. Something I was just wondering was just
Yeah,
does
kind
that
of
mean
like,
that it's only 4 scenes and then one like outro, or
yeah, it's going to be like an
or
intro
just making
scene.
2 more or 1 more scene right
Um
after this? It's just like a story or something. I'm not too sure.
It'll be the intro, and then it should be at least 4 scenes, right? So at least 4 to 6 scenes will be okay, but I wanted at least 4 sentences in there that we could read and focus on. So the scenes, because a lot of them, you guys are going to start thinking about transitioning from one scene to another, right? Kind of like we did for the Monarch, Butterfly, and the custom 3-scene animation. I showed you guys a couple different transitions that you could use. And during those transitions, you might notice that sometimes, the talking still continues. The voiceover still continues in the video. So, things, there's like a segue into the next scene that happens. And you might have one scene where there's like 1 to 2 sentences that you're talking about something, but you have 2 separate scenes in it. So you might have one section, or you have 2 separate shots. Let me just say that. So there's scenes that you have, and scenes are made up of shots. So you might have multiple shots within one scene. But I just wanted to make sure you guys have at least 4 sentences so this thing is long enough. You can have 5 to 6 different scenes in there if you have like, you're probably going to have end scene if you want to throw one in there. I don't know if I have that as a requirement, but I'll check that. But like a credits, right? I did the animation, here's the music. And then if there's a title, there could be a title, and there's your sixth scene. So good question though. Maybe I'll reword that for the next class. I appreciate you pointing it out.
Hello.
Keith.
So
What's up,
I
Keith?
finished the scenes for the scene document.
Okay.
I wasn't really too certain how to write it. I'm more of like a visual understander.
That's what the storyboard's for.
So I have some ideas of what I want to do for scenes.
Uh-huh.
I've written them down, but I haven't designed it just yet.
Okay.
I also wanted to know, because I'm using the color black or whatever, I wanted to get advice on, because I've noticed it's like one or two of them they use different colors like white or gray or reds, and I was wondering if I can do that for this project or not, to use a little bit of a different color,
I would
because I really think I'm trying to go for the space idea, and in space there's a lot of stars and there's a lot of like clouds that can have different colors. That's kind of my idea for like the first few scenes, is doing a little bit more to show what black hides, if that makes sense.
are you Keith?
Thank
Are
you.
you in the chat? Yeah. The I would pick like one accent color. I'm curious about what you're talking about as like black hides. I mean, because it's like technically absent of all color, right? Is black absent of all color? Or is it white? Black is the absence of color. So the short answer is no. I don't want to see a bunch of different colors in there. It's a color, it's a monochromatic video. But because you are doing black, right, you're going to have colors of gray. You're going to have like different shades of gray in there. And I'll allow you to have one accent color. So like the red, if you want to, or a yellow, or an orange, or whatever you're going to pick, right? But because in the other color scope videos, if you picked a different color, you can use black or white or brown. For this, if you're doing the black, I'll allow you guys to have like an accent color, a different one. So, but I don't want to see like a rainbow of color, like a bunch of different colors. Monochromatic is very specific, and you want to keep that theme throughout the video. And if you don't keep the theme throughout the entire video, it's going to be just kind of confusing and just jarring to the viewer. They're going to be like, well, this scene doesn't match the others. They're like, oh, this one just doesn't really match the rest of the style. So people will notice that. Even if they don't have a background in design, they will, they'll kind of just subconsciously understand that. So, Lena.
Hi.
Hello.
I only have 2 questions this week. So first, do you have any advice on how to decide which objects to make 3D in the Colorscope project?
Yeah, so let's address that question first. Simplistic things, something that you're not going to animate insane, right? If you look at all of the other 3D examples, like the examples of the Colorscope projects in their 3D scenes, it's usually like one object that is like rotating, or maybe it just grows onto the screen with scale or position change, but you're doing very simplistic animations with it. So I wouldn't pick something that's going to take forever to model, or that is going to take forever to animate, or is going to be very complex to animate. You guys can like based on your real and surreal project, you'll understand a little bit more about like rendering times, right? And when it comes to the animations that we did within like the real and surreal project, specifically the surreal section of the project, where you had things rotating and you had position changes and scaling differences and stuff like that, you can think along the lines of that. but I wouldn't go too complex because that's going to take up a ton of time. And so that's just something like you'll see a crown done. We can do some more techniques. I'll look for some more stuff, but does the 3D object have to be modeled from scratch? No, I don't think it has to be, but it has to match the color. Like you have to change the material to match your color scope project. And so we'll talk a little bit more about modeling in the 3D once we get some techniques to throw in there. What are you thinking you want to do, Lena, in 3D? Because it sounds like you've kind of thought about this. So I'm curious as what you're wanting. I'm going to play the rest of your question while you answer for me.
Because I was talking to Belle and she mentioned that even if you did make something in C4D, it wouldn't really look 3D. Like you wouldn't be able to tell that much. So I was just wondering which object I should choose to make it 3D.
Yeah, so what she means by that is because of the material that we're going to put onto it, and it's going to be a very flat cell shading type material that you're going to use for it to blend it with the other things. It's not with the other scenes. It's going to be, depending on what it is, can be a little bit difficult to realize that it's a full 3D object versus just something that's in there. You'll be able to tell a little bit if there's like some kind of lighting in your scene. But we're looking kind of for a flat looking object. I was also wondering if using the C4D assets would count. Yeah, you could use them as long as you're changing the materials on them. So you can use the assets. So if you don't want to, probably a rocket or a lantern. Okay. I didn't see that part before, but now I did. The rocket could be cool to do a very quick, very simplistic looking modeling of a rocket. Like I would look at, here, let me bring this over for you, Lena. Like something like this, right? Super simple. You could do like an object, change the shape of it, like we did with Eve with this, and then you could do kind of a couple little windows and then these little fins that come out of it. And you could do the fire inside of After Effects. But if this, rotated, if it was rotating, you could tell it would be in 3D. But even you could tell it would be in 3D even if you have a flat looking materials on it. So if you can find one in the editor, in the assets, like the C4D assets, you can do that. You can use that if you want to. But if you want a custom design one as well, you could do that. And then I drew up my design brief, so you'll see what I'm talking about. Perfect. Okay, cool. We'll go over that then in just a second. Let's hear your other question. Sorry, you guys.
And the second question is, how do I save my projects onto the cloud, like in Adobe? Because so far I've been saving everything on
Locally.
the computer. Like when I save as, I just save to my computer. And when I was working on the moth scene project, I was working late at night, so I actually accidentally deleted two of my scenes that I illustrated in Photoshop on my computer. So I had to redo them. And could you demonstrate how to save it to the cloud? Because when I open Illustrator or Photoshop or something, I can see my projects here. So I thought it would save to the cloud here, but it turns out when I deleted that file,
it deleted it as well. These are recent. If you notice here, it says recent. So these are just recent documents that you've opened inside of Illustrator. Let me show you the cloud saving and kind of the benefits of that. I usually save locally because I save to an external hard drive. I never save anything on my computer directly unless it's like for class. But when it's for big projects, I always save to. I have a really big 5 terabyte hard drive that I save all of my footage and my projects and stuff to that way. And then if I need to for I'm always going to access it here at my computer. But then if I need to go somewhere, I can take it with me. The reason being is because I work on projects that are very large in size. Right, some of my projects are 10 gigabytes, and I even bigger. I have some projects that are, if I'm working on straight video projects and doing editing, I'll have, depending on the footage that it is, projects that are 600 gigabytes, right? Like huge projects that you just can't save to a cloud. So this is good for small assets and stuff, little illustrations that you're doing, things inside of Photoshop that you're doing. But I would always save like After Effects, Premiere, those kind of things locally. I'm just going to let you know that. But you can, like I said, save the other things. Let's open Illustrator here. Hold on. And we'll see and show you what to do. Good question though. I haven't had anyone ask about the cloud option. You always have a limited amount of, and so that's why I'm saying these smaller documents are better to save with the cloud than any kind of larger documents. We'll create a new file here. Okay, whatever, 1920 1080 create. And when I go to save, I'll go to File, Save As. Illustrator, this one here, and instead of hitting save there, I want to save a cloud document. And then you can type this in here, like maybe, right, I'll type rocket. Save. And now I will create just a quick shape in here, just to show that there's something. And then I'm going to save it. And what you'll notice is your document will have, oh, come on now. Here we go. That's fine. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't zoom. It's not letting me zoom. What is going on? Oh my gosh, it wants to do a cutout. It's because it's already a shortcut somewhere. But if you look here up at the top of the document, it says it has a little cloud on there so that you know it's a cloud document. And then it's got a different extension here. It's got an .aic extension, which is Adobe Illustrator Cloud. So that's kind of how you know. So now when I close it, right? If I were to close this project, of course, now it's gonna, everything's moving really slow. Escape there. But I go to open Illustrator again. You said, actually, I did save to a hard drive, but I accidentally deleted that. That's okay. I usually try to save in 3 places: hard drive, Google Drive, and local drive. But when I was about to copy my project somewhere else to save, I deleted it directly from the hard drive. Yeah, things will happen that way. And that's when you learn. You'll learn. You're like, oh, maybe I should change my way of doing things. I think, is there a way to save projects to the cloud instead, to auto-save the projects to the cloud instead of manually? I think there is. Like I've had there, when I downloaded Adobe Illustrator and it's like, I go to save something new, or when there's a new version of like whatever, Illustrator, Photoshop out, and I go to upgrade or update the program, and then I go in there and I go to save something new, it asks me, do you want to auto save to the cloud? Like, do you want to save everything to the cloud or not? And you can put yes. I always do local, because I've already got a very specific way of working that has worked, and I don't really have to do that. up here, you can click this cloud thing right there and you can see the amount of storage that you have. It will also, it'll show up here as well, but that's because that's a recent. But if you go to, where is it? The Creative Cloud app, this one right here. And there's an option, I think, over here that says there's fonts, tutorials, portfolio. These are apps. There's a place to access the cloud stuff. Let's go to files. You go to files, manage files. Use cloud documents to access work easily on all of your devices. Collect, manage, and share your most used colors, graphics, character styles, and more with Creative Cloud libraries. The libraries is really cool. I use libraries a lot to save color palettes for clients, like based on their company branding documents and guidelines and stuff. And so I'll save logos. I will save because you can save vector logos in your libraries. You can also save graphics, any kind of colors that you want to use. I'm actually happy you said that because this is a great tip for you guys to know, and I just don't think about it. But you can save those to your library, and then that allows you to access it from any computer. So if you switch computers a lot, let's say, because I work on my desktop and then I move over to a laptop sometimes. And when I'm working on that, I can access these cloud documents like that without having to have a hard drive, right? Let's take the tour real quick. Save your files as cloud documents. Use cloud documents to access them on all your devices. Work with others to share documents. That's another thing you can do is you can work together on documents and each have control and access to these documents. Your libraries where you have elements that you reuse often, you can do that. So I think though that in order to have it automatically save them to the cloud is like a setting that you have to change somewhere. I'd have to look that up because I don't know where the setting is. But yeah. That's the cool part about this. See, all of these ones that I've had or created are in the cloud. Anything that I've worked on over here is in the cloud because it's got the little cloud symbol right there. So I've saved it multiple ways, right? Little characters, all sorts of things. The libraries right here. These libraries are available here in your Adobe apps. They are browse libraries that are shared with you. Find even more free libraries. Cool. Ready-made libraries. Curated from Adobe. I didn't know that. They have them curated. But what I'll do here is I'll create a new library for a client, right? So if I'm like GCC library and I just want to have it personal, just for me, I'll create that. And then inside of here, you can add images, you can add vector logos, you can add colors, gradients, all that kind of stuff, shapes, different kind of things in here so that you can open your libraries panel inside of your working document. Like let's say I'm inside of Illustrator on this and here, let's show you how you use my libraries. So I've got this, I need it to be, a client's work. So I'll go to libraries. Over here, it's going to sync up. It's going to give me a list. And I'll click on someone here. Notice that I have different color palettes, right? So I have, this client happens to have multiple color palettes for different products that it owns, right? And so I can come here and I'm like, oh, I'm working on something for the MyPath project. I can click on this and I can double click on this and it will change the color to the appropriate color for me. If I had graphics in here, right, because I have gradients, if I had logos added in here, they would show up as well, like vector logos or PNGs or something, and I could just drag and drop them into my thing which is great. It saves a ton of time. I always recommend it for like reusable graphics and stuff that you guys want to do. Is there a green check mark next to the file? It means it's saved to the cloud. Yes. Green check mark means that everything's good, golden, and it's saved up there. If I save to the Creative Cloud library, will it affect the speed of my apps themselves? It should not. It might affect the speed when you're like saving something or when you're going to open it, but it shouldn't affect the speed of the apps in general. Yeah, so I got your questions. But that was a good question because this is something that saves you a lot of time. I think a lot of graphic designers use this as well. I don't think that this library is like this stuff is offered. It is offered inside of After Effects. So if you're designing something and building it inside of After Effects, so you're building your scene all together, you can use these libraries as well. So I have a lot of clients, for instance, who I'll be doing a video for, and some clients like a logo added in the bottom corner or top corner depending, so throughout a video, right? So we just know it's very common. And instead of having to go import the Illustrator file or the PNG, whatever they give me, from a file somewhere, it's saved in my cloud. I can just go over here, find it, grab it, drag it in, and it's good to go. It just is so much quicker than having to import everything. But yeah, really good question. But that is mainly how you know this is a cloud document, is you've got the little cloud symbol and the extension's a little bit different. I'll keep this open, but kind of minimize it here.
Hi, I don't have any.
Lena, you still had a question. Let me get to the rest of it.
Hi. And when I was working on the moth scene project, I was working late at night, so I actually accidentally deleted two of my scenes
You're
that
just
I
having to learn
illustrated
now.
in Photoshop on my computer. So I had to redo them. And could you demonstrate how to save it to the cloud? Because when I open Illustrator or Photoshop or something, I can see my projects here. So I thought it would save to the cloud here, but it turns out when I deleted that file on my actual computer documents, then the stuff here would disappear. And so I was wondering if saving it to the cloud on Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and After Effects is different, or is it the same procedure?
That's
all my questions.
It should be the same procedure. That's why Adobe makes everything, very similar looking, is because this process is very similar through the different applications. As far as like a After Effects, let's kind of find out here, because I never really open file, new project. You can also create team projects, right? Which is really neat too. Untitled project, let's save as. And Adobe doesn't allow you, probably because of the file size of these. I think that here it would give us this option there to save to the cloud. Let me kind of close this down and open a new After Effects project and see if it does when it's like opened fresh, right? And by the way, I looked online, and it says, I looked up like the saving thing. Does Adobe automatically save to the cloud? With cloud documents, you don't have to keep saving your documents. Your documents are automatically saved as you work on them. So you don't have to keep hitting save, right? A new version is created each time a document is auto-saved. You could probably change the autosave settings to happen every so often. So if you wanted to autosave every couple minutes, it could do that. You can easily find and restore previous versions of the Creative Cloud off the website. Let's get this here. I'm going to give this here to you. Here you go. Let me get you this forum off the Adobe website so that you can read a little bit more into it if you guys want to. I'm just putting it in the chat here on YouTube there. Or yeah, on the live stream. But this way you can see different ways and different like settings and stuff you might be able to. And it tells you which file types you can save. So PDFs, PostScripts, image files, text files, Microsoft applications. These are additional file formats. Okay. Yeah, cool. Go through that. I'll go through that actually too, because this is kind of good information. But the cloud definitely has benefits. It also has drawbacks. But I mean, I think I'm just so hesitant. I am like you. I save in usually a couple different places. So I always have projects on one drive and another. Like I always update it to another drive as well. I don't usually store things on I will sometimes store things like on my personal Dropbox for my own personal stuff and then as well as somewhere else, but usually I don't do that for everywhere. This is not related, but I got an email that said the school computer was due for return on December 15th. Will class be over by then? Yes. Last class is December 14th. So that's the time that we're going to go over all of the, we're going to go over your reels and your final color scope projects. So yes. All right, Jasmine.
Hi, I don't have any questions for this week.
Okay.
What I have noticed is that I've been getting some bruises on my wrist, like right here.
Oh no!
Because of the
from
way
working.
that I hold the mouse, like my wrist, it's resting on the table.
No.
And I've been editing a lot for this class and another one. Is there certain things that you use to avoid this type of bruises? Like, what's something that you think will help me?
I'm so sorry that's happening. I guess like, I'm used to it. I would say using an ergonomic mouse like this, something similar to this. It doesn't have to be this one. This one's a little pricier. Right now is a good time to buy tech items because they're on sale for Black Friday. Let me go to Amazon. Let me show you guys a couple things that there are there. I'm really sorry about the bruises. That's such a bummer. Wrist, but they have wrist like the things that go in front of your keyboard, like a rest for a computer keyboard. So there's different kinds here. You can use a mouse pad like this that has this little resting area there that will help avoid it, because what I'm assuming is happening is that your hand is on the edge of your desk, and which will cause bruises. If I'm not saying you have to learn a different way to type, but that is something that does happen. So you guys can get these little ergonomic things. They're ergonomic is the key, right? Here's one that they sell like for the front of the keyboard and then also for your mouse here. Some cute ones if you guys want to do that. These ones are really nice because it really kind of cradles your wrist. So this is specifically separate. I tend to actually not use my wrist in the same way with this kind of mouse, because this mouse I don't move it around my desk. It doesn't move around my desk like this. Instead, what moves is this little ball thing right here. And so if you guys look at my mouse on the keyboard or on the screen, as I roll this ball around, it moves the actual mouse there. So it works a little bit differently. I know some gaming but I like that because all I'm using is my thumb versus my entire wrist and my hand, which will also get bruises on there. So I would just consider looking up like ergonomic mice. I would also look at some of these if you'd rather have one of these. These are a little bit cheaper versus an ergonomic mouse, but let's see here. There's some ergonomic mice that you also move. Like this one here is going to be one that you still move around your desk. But if it has the little rolling ball on it, like this one here, this is a steal. Like I paid probably $40 more than this when I first bought my mouse, when it first came out and I first bought it. So this one's a really good, if you guys can, spend it. I know it's not pretty by any means, right? It's not a nice looking thing, but it's very comfortable to use. And it just takes like maybe a couple hours of using it to like you're like, oh wow, this is really nice. So I can attest for this keyboard or this mouse because I use it every day. But I also have one that is kind of shaped like these ones, and those ones work just fine as well because it keeps your wrist like this versus like this flat, because this is not ergonomic. This is more ergonomic when you have your hand up here. But I would still recommend possibly like a pad, like a mouse pad, with the little rest on there for it. Oh, this one's not bad either. This different brand. And it looks like you can get this one with little different colored little like mouse balls on there. But that's cool. And then of course if you always go down you can find things this way. I've never seen anything like that. I've never used anything like that. But yeah, lots of different options. I'm sorry you're dealing with that. That will happen when you're at your desk for a very long time. Bummer. Sorry. Okay, so let's get to the color scope things here. Lena, we're going to go over yours first. So jump into it. Open this up. All right, let's see what color Lena's picking. Red. Nice. I'm interested in researching the meaning of red in Chinese culture, specifically why it's the prominent color of Lunar New Year. Ooh, that's neat. That's very specific, and I think that's really cool. Red is the color of good fortune. Nice. Red is the color of good fortune. Perfect. During the Lunar New Year, red is decorated everywhere because it symbolizes celebration, prosperity, and vitality. I love that. I think that's great. I can visually see like options here about like celebration, prosperity, vitality. This is good. Sentence 3. People wear red and exchange red envelopes to spread good luck and happiness. That's really cool too. Hanging up red lanterns can even ward off evil spirits. See, this is great. This is a perfect length of sentences. You did change it. Let me go through to your thing here. Oh, you changed it to pink? Are you doing pink right now? Oh, this is for the moth thing. Okay. I'll look over this and I'll give you feedback on this later. I'm like, wait a second, this doesn't match at all. And then I remember you doing that little moth. I'll go over that either after class tonight or early in the morning tomorrow. Let me remind. If I don't have this to you like reviewed by tomorrow at like 9 in the morning, just send me a little message and be like, hey, don't forget to review this, and I'll review it for you right then. But I'm gonna see if I can put I think I can put a reminder on this. Remind me about this tomorrow morning. Perfect. It'll remind me too. So if you forget, I won't. But as far as like your sentences that you have written here, I wouldn't change them. I think they're very well written. I think they're concise, and I think that this will this is the perfect length for this video that we're doing. Include a screenshot of your color palette. Be sure there is enough contrast in here. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because the question was if you make changes, I want to be notified? Yeah, if there's major changes, let me know. But we'll go over that. Yeah, that's fine. Don't be sorry. I'm happy you did it. I think that this color palette is very strong. I like it. I think that I think these two colors right here are in these colors between these three. So this one and this one are very similar. And this one and this one are very similar. Right? So maybe what I would do is just I think the darkness of this one is okay. Be careful not to put this color and this color next to each other unless they're very distinct. Unless they're separated by something else, right? And as far as this one goes, I might lighten it down to something more like this. Right? More like in between these two colors. here, and then you'll be okay. But yeah, I can see that you have like a very monochromatic gradient from like a dark red to a very light pink. So I think this is a strong color palette, especially because you have this nice, really deep like red in there. I think that's good. Let's see. I would like to emulate the confetti explosion transition in the orange color video and background dropping behind the apple yellow one. Okay, cool. I'll have to look at that in a little bit, but yeah, because that's yes, you can use a light red, right? That is the sticky situation when it comes to the color red. Similar with the color orange, right? Orange, when you get to really dark orange, it looks brown. And then when you get to really light reds, it looks a little pink. Same with yellows. When you start to, or oranges, you drop down, those start to look a little yellow. That's okay, right? As long as it looks and fits within the color palette itself. So this blend of them that you have, right? I'm going to see a video with this and I'm just going to think that it's about the color red because these are still light versions of that. If you were doing pink, I think it would be a little bit more saturated of a pink here. And it would be, it would be a darker pink here. It would look a little bit different, but because it's tacked on to the red, I'm just going to automatically, my brain goes to it being a red color, just a light red. The first two scenes are effective because they show exactly what's described in the voiceover. Yep. I'm going to skip over these sections of them, you guys, and then I want to get to because we're already at 7:15, and I have to, this is Lena's first one. I have to go through, how many of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I'm going to go over the storyboard. I'm going to go over your script and your storyboards for these. So here is your storyboard. Let me see here. So if there's a technique that you want to learn in here, just make sure when I post that document that maybe you put that one down in there. The screen will start out completely red and then zooms out. Okay, cool. It's going to show the book when it zooms out, which will then open up to the first scene. That's cool. So you're going to transition from, it's going to be red, it's going to zoom out, and it's going to reveal the book. So you'll have the reveal there, and then the book's going to open up, and then the first scene will be inside of the book. Book made in Adobe Illustrator. I like that. Music and paper rustling. I think that sounds great. The way you filled this out is great, Lena. I know you had written me about that and we're a little concerned about it, but this looks good. A list of animation techniques, scaling out, and page turning effects. Yep. Exactly what I was thinking. Voiceover for the same. Red is the color of good fortune. Perfect. Oh, these little rockets. This should be easy to create, to model yourself inside of Cinema 4D. The lanterns could also be a little easier depending on how simplistic you make it. And the fans would be like the hardest thing. And the material for this, right? You could do like you did Eve's face. So if there were, because most of the lanterns, if they're just one solid red color, it's just one solid red color. But if there's some kind of symbols or any kind of writing or anything on it, you could project it like we did with Eve's face onto the material there. So you could just think about that. A description, the firecracker explodes into confetti, which then drifts down into a second scene, which is really cool because we can use, if you do this as your 3D, there's a way we can blow an object up with something called a Voronoi fracture, and it breaks it up into a bunch of little pieces. So we'll go over that. I think that will be a really cool thing that you can use for the explosion here. You can also use for like a wall breaking or shattering and stuff. So we'll go over that. I'll make sure to put that in the notes. List of specific assets. We're going to do possible 3D, the confetti fan, coin, and a lantern. Coin will be easy. Lantern should be simplistic. The confetti explosion thing, we'll possibly go over that. Small confetti and a rocket. Okay, cool. It might be cool to do the confetti inside of After Effects and the rocket inside of Cinema 4D too. So we'll kind of go over maybe a technique that you can choose at that point what you want to do. List of specific sound effects, a fuse, sizzling, explosion, pop, celebration, music, raining down sound, list of animation techniques. Okay, cool. Animating along a path. Yep. Scaling an object, position change. Perfect. And then during the Lunar New Year, here's your script. Red is decorated everywhere because it symbolizes celebration, prosperity, and vitality. Perfect. Is it okay to have the book to have the text called Good Fortune? Absolutely. Yeah, that's fine. In the second scene, the confetti from the first scene will fall from the top. So I'll look at that one scene. We'll see if we can figure out how to do that transition. In the second scene, the confetti from scene 1 falls from the top along with the red envelope into the hands. The sleeves also change to red. Okay, cool. The envelope will be a 2D asset, the hands will be 2D, and the confetti in Illustrator. Okay, so then let's do that. We'll stick to, just let me know if you want to do the rocket in 3D. But you could definitely illustrate that along a path and have the other assets in 3D, which would be just perfectly fine the way you have it. Is the confetti fan, this thing, the coins and the lanterns would be cool in 3D. And then what you could do is the rocket, right? If you do that in 2D, we could still find a way to explode it. And also to drop confetti out, we'll use a particle effect to drop the confetti. But you could animate it along a path between some of these objects, which could look cool too. Swoop sound for sleeve changing. Envelope thump, cool. Bell sound for confetti. I like it. Fill and animate color and position change. Okay, cool. We can do this, with the fill thing. I think that'll work. Perfect. Position change. People wear red and exchange red envelopes to spread good luck and happiness. I think I would like to do the rocket in 3D since you said it is easiest to make it explode. Yeah. If you want to do the rocket in 3D, then we can do that. And then the confetti can be in 2D or in 3D. We can figure that out as well. But there's, either way, depending on which one you want to do. If we do the rocket in 3D, that'll be fine too. Lantern swinging to ward off the spirit. The spirit fades away. That's cool. I like this idea. You can do the 3D lantern. You can reuse that asset if you make the lantern in 3D. And if not, you can do a 2D one. Background lanterns and spirit would be in 2D. A swoosh sound and an evil spirit hiss. Ooh. Perfect. I think this is really strong. I think this is going to look cool. I would start working on your assets, right? Maybe that's what I'll do is I'll have that due next week, Thursday. You guys can have all your assets done. I'm probably not going to make you, usually that's an assignment where you turn your assets in so I can see, but as long as you guys are making these on your own, that's okay. I'd prefer not to, that's why I'm not going to do any more participation questions, is because I prefer not to fill up the class with talking about participation questions and reviewing a ton of stuff. I would rather use some of this time to go over techniques with you guys. So, Yeah, you can get started on your assets for like the 2D stuff right this week if you want to. If you want to start getting ahead, like your book, um, any kind of little things you want to do. If you want to start modeling these, you can model them, and then we can talk about how to explode them later, which will be fine. Good job. All right, Tristan, let's go over this one. Okay, Tristan is picking green. Sweet. Green is an interesting color due to its interesting interpretations people have made up for it over the years. Green can mean nature and life, but it can also mean poison and death. Yeah, very cool. Green is the color of nature. Green represents nature, but why? It's because of the things you'd see in nature like trees, grass, bushes, plants, etc. Green is also prevalent that even green is so prevalent that even companies nature related use green as representation. Okay, so we're going to have to rewrite some of these sentences based on the grammar. Green being the representation of nature was just simply made to be when you really think about it. Let's rewrite some of these. I think that green represents nature. I think these two sentences could be kind of conjoined together. So green represents nature because of, get rid of this and get rid of this and then move this up. Because of things that you'd see, like, you don't have to have a nature because that's redundant, like trees, grass, bushes, plants, etc. I wouldn't even say this, etc. You can just remove that. So green represents nature because of things that you'd see, maybe outside, like trees, grass, bushes, and plants. Green is so prevalent that even nature-related companies, so take this and move it right there in between. Nature-related companies use green as representation, but this needs to be written nature-related, use green to... It's not really telling me other things that it's just about nature. Let me think about this. Even nature-related companies use green as representation. Okay, I'll allow it. And then, but then are you going to have... Yeah, I think that would be fine. I would say maybe something talk about green energy, right? Like this one, I do not like this sentence. I would redo this entirely. This one right here. And maybe talk about how green energy, like talking about the clean energy that we use, like wind, solar power, water driven energy, is also kind of represented and it's called green energy. So you could maybe talk about something like that. And usually that's also associated with clean nature type of things. I would write something in that sense. But if you combine these sentences, you've got two scenes right now, because you're going to need an extra one to go here, and then you're going to need to rewrite this here. Because this just doesn't, it's really redundant, and it just doesn't work. And this one also should be up here. So you can say green is a color of nature. Green represents nature because of things you'd see outside, like trees, grass, bushes, and plants. Maybe the second scene is this one, and then you have to add two more scenes onto there. So definitely need to expand upon this one. Include a screenshot of the color palette. Let's see here. I like this color palette. I think that these two colors here, let me look on the screen there. This color here and this color here are kind of similar. So I'd lighten this color up to make it a lighter green, add some more white into that. And then these two colors are they're a little too close as well. So I would maybe darken this a little bit more. And then darken this one a little bit more, and then it'll move it away from this center color here. Or you could, you'll just have to shift a little bit of things, but some of these colors are a little too close, so you're going to just want to change the saturation of these, especially because they're about the same saturation, these ones here. But it's a good start with the colors. We're going to go past this and we're going to get to... We're going to get to here. Okay, cool. Description here. Brush within something representing the interpretation lines. The forest represents the nature and the lifeline of the script, since the forest is literally nature and is also filled with life. While the little vial with the label represents the death and poison. Yeah, maybe. So because you do mention that, right? You're talking about if you're going to bring in poison, because this whole script up here only talks about nature. So maybe you write two sentences about the nature and then write 2 more sentences that have to do with it representing the opposite of that. So something sinister, right? Well, the little vial with the label represents a death and poison line. I also added smoke to make it extra clear that dark things in the label is supposed to represent a skull. So you're going to do a brush, tree, grass, plants, bush, and the vial. Zoom in on the plant. Transition from a blank green scene to this. I'm not exactly sure. I think this is just going to be like trees and bushes and stuff. The wind blows and transitions it. Because we could do wind blowing with trim baths. You can add a bunch of them on top of each other and it would kind of create like a wind looking thing. They could all be different shades of green. And the vial will turn around in the smoke. Okay, cool. We have technically can work on inside of After Effects for that. Okay. So this one. This is not part of your... This part up here was not a section of the... This is your description. So this is not... This is the description of the topic that you're picking. This is your... This is your script. So, with that being said, if you want to save yourself some time, right? You could do green is the color of nature, and then the changes of this one and the changes of the other one. And then you say green can also represent, you can say green can also represent poison and death, right? So you can kind of take this and move that down. And then you can use that one scene, because this scene, this is not supposed to be a scene. You have it drawn as like a scene here with your description paragraph, but this is not what that is supposed to be. The description is just supposed to be a description of like what topic you've chosen. And then the script is totally different. So this could be for a different scene, right? And where you're talking about green can also, you can transition, right? From like the trees and stuff. It not only means nature and life, but it can also mean poison and death. And that's when you can do the wind blowing as a transition and it turns into that vial. So that's what I would do, right? And then you could put that as either your, I would do that as scenes after you're talking about nature. I think this one's not showing. Let me close this out and try and get into it again. The contents are either missing or they're blurred out. There's a reason I can't see but I can see it barely here. The tree with the smiley face is there for green represents the nature, while the question mark is there for the but why line. You don't have to have that. I would just get rid of the question mark thing because you're not going to say but why. You're going to change your script a little bit, so your storyboard's going to change, right? But you can still have the trees and stuff like that, and then this will be different. I decided to make this scene just a standstill with arrows that'll be animated and pointing the listed things out because I feel it's the best thing to do for that scene. It's because of things you'd see like in grass. You could do, so this would technically be scene 1, right? Because you're going to combine those sentences. And so when you say these things like the trees, the grass, the bushes, the plants, those things can grow on screen. Because I've shown you using trim pass how to grow things like trees, grass. You can use bushes, you can use a scale, plants, you can use scale to do that. And so I don't want to see the arrows on there. I think that the arrows just pointing to images just isn't interesting. And so if you have them growing on screen while you're saying these things, I think that would make that stronger. Scene here. Tapping on cardboard. Let's see this one. Green is so prevalent that even nature-related companies use green as representation. It's a man with a bucket hat, like a hat with strings that connects pointing to a sign that has trees on it. I don't... He's got a bucket hat on. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be like him pointing to a logo or something, but I would rethink this scene. And I would do maybe nature related companies use green as a representation. So I would look up nature related companies, not use their logo, but instead what you could do is take things that are related to that nature, like the green energy that I was talking about. So maybe a windmill that you draw, like the newer looking windmills, any nature related companies. You could do nature related and green energy companies. If I just do a quick search in here, you can just find some different stuff. But I think you should rethink that scene because or what you could do is change what's happening inside of here, like the tree. Maybe he's looking at like a green energy pamphlet or something like that. Let's see. The leaves in the trees, the flowers, the leaves blow the trees, the flowers, the bushes. So this could be similar to the monarch, the last scene in the monarch butterfly one. I'm curious to know what you're going to make in 3D. The wind blowing sound, that's good. I'm not sure what you're going to end up rigging here. So I'm curious about that. Green being representation. And yeah, so this is going to just be a completely different scene. So you've got some work to do. You've got a head start on this, but there definitely needs to be work on this one, Tristan, to make it very cohesive and make a strong script. Because I think the script right now, once that's strengthened, then the rest of the storyboard will come easier and you can modify those a little bit differently. So update the script, update the color palette, and then update your storyboard. Jesus. Let's see here. All right. I chose blue due to it being on all of my favorite fictional characters and how blue is such a nice and vibrant landscape color design choice. Okay, cool. Blue is the color of tranquility. All right. You'll say this at the beginning of your video. Sentences. At the start, blue is not even recognized as being a color, more so of a variant of green. I would take at the start off and just say something like blue initially. So not at the start. So initially, let's cross this out, and you would type in initially there. I mean, I obviously I can't write it in for some reason, but I can cross it out. Blue is not even recognized as being a color. Instead, a variant of green. And so instead of more so, you're going to say instead a variant of green. Let me select all of this and cross all of that out. The color blue came from its former name of ultramarine blue, where the medieval era mined lapis lazuli to make blue clothing. The color blue came from its former name of ultramarine blue, where the medieval era mined lapis lazuli, which is going to be like obviously a mineral, to make blue clothing. Okay, I'll allow it. The color blue was severely hard to come by. I would say extremely here. Was extremely hard to come by, as it had a hefty price tag that rivaled the price of gold for hundreds of years. That I don't think you need this part, but I think that saying this is really cool. That's interesting to know, because it was so rare. It's hard to come by as its hefty price tag that rivaled the price of gold. Cool. Make sure you're not putting gold color in there for this part. You can just have like chunks of rocks that look like gold, I guess. Blue is highly favored by so many around the world as an international poll of 10 countries from 4 continents concluded with blue having the most favorites. Okay, this needs to be rewritten because this is a run-on sentence and I don't think it fully makes sense. Sorry, one second. I think you could say it like this. Blue is highly favored by so many around the world. It is used in as an international poll of 10 countries from 4 continents concluded with blue having the most favorites. Okay, so like people around the world just like the color blue. This just needs to be rewritten. So you could be like blue is highly favored by so many around the world that there are this many countries that use blue in their flag or something like that, right? You could do something. The most expensive paints in the world. Oh, that's really interesting to know. Yeah, blue's beautiful. But yeah, I guess I'm sure now it's not like that, but I mean, gosh, I haven't bought a tube of oil paint in so long. But I would say something like this, like blue is highly favored, or find a different fact to go here, because this one is just not a very strong sentence, but the rest of it's good. The color palette here is a good start. I would change this color right here because it doesn't fit with the rest of them. So maybe pick a really deep color blue from like this one or this one, like somewhere along that area that can serve as like a really dark color blue. The other thing that I notice is right here, this color and this color are very similar. So I would just add a little bit more white or black into either one of these to increase the contrast there. But the biggest thing is this one here. This one needs to change because it doesn't really fit with the rest of them. You could take this, you could take this color here and just add a bunch of white to it to replace this one because these colors all are within the same hue. But this one's very much like a sea foam green color. And so I would, almost on the the like aqua scale, I would just change that color right there. But other than that, good job on the rest of it. All right, here we go. Description. The man wears the man appears after the transition is already looking confused as to what is the color blue. Two box color palettes are scaled up from the center. I think that this scene isn't very strong because the voiceover of it at the start, blue is not even recognized as being a color, more of a variant of green. Okay, I can see why you would have done that. I think, well, first of all, what you're going to say is you're going to start your video saying blue is the color of tranquility. So maybe this is, you know, you have blue on the screen. It opens up to blue is the color of tranquility. Then you're going to have a transition to blue was not even recognized as being a color. Instead, you know, again, initially blue was not even recognized as being a color, instead a variant of green. Yeah, so you can have a guy confused over seeing something that's blue for the first time. Yeah, I guess, yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'll allow it. The man speech bubble and a question mark. Okay, yeah, I can see that. The question mark in the speech bubble. That's cool. Bubble popping, bubble sound, like when it pops up. Scaling movement of head and arms. Okay, that's fine. And then this will be, yes, this is just going to be updated. Scene 2 here. The picture of the Virgin Mary will appear via opacity, and each piece of the whole overly simplified version will come up. Let's see what the color blue came from its former name of ultramarine, where the medieval era mined lapis lazuli or lazuli to make blue clothing. So you can maybe have maybe what you could do here instead, because I don't know, you're not talking about religion. So the Virgin Mary, get rid of that. You're talking about like medieval stuff, right? Each piece of the whole overly simplified version will come up. Okay. Maybe what you could do is like little pickaxes, like hitting like a big rock, and then all of a sudden a little rock comes off and it's this blue, some kind of blue color that you know, is used to dye clothing. Maybe you could have clothing, like a piece of clothing, a piece of blue clothing come up at that point. But I think that would be a stronger scene here because you're talking about mining for the color. You're mining the mineral for the color. So the whole Virgin Mary thing, I would just get rid of that. Let's see. Description of the third one. Mining sounds are heard at the beginning of the scene, followed up by two materials sliding in from both sides. This part could be the whole thing with the, let's see here. I can't really read this. I'll try and zoom in. And something slides in the center. Let's redo this one too. The color blue was extremely hard to come by, as it had a hefty price tag that rivaled the price of gold for So you could have that, maybe the lapis piece of mineral be a transition to the next scene. And as you're talking, let's read that again. Rarity. How would you visualize something that is rare? You would probably have to have it next to something else, right? So So maybe you could have it was hard to come by as it was hefty price tag. So you could just have the like color blue or that rock, the mineral that's blue. Um and then maybe some like price price tag with like maybe pops up off of it and it's got like $6 signs on it. And then you have the gold pop up at the same time and it's only got like $3 signs on it, right? I think that would be a stronger looking scene. And so this final scene, a global will appear after the transition, but you're going to rewrite this. So this one's going to be, you can talk about a different poll as a world, so many around the world as an international poll of 10 countries from 4 continents concluded with blue having the most favorites. Yeah. So you could just be like, blue is highly favored by so many. There was a poll taken around the world and concluded that blue is amongst the most favorite color. And then you could do that. If you rewrite it like that, I think that would be a stronger sentence. And then you could do this thing. I think that would be really cool. I'm curious to know which one is going to be your 3D scene. We could do a 3D globe and little flags popping up. You could do that. Let's see here. Popping noises, quiet chatter. All right. Okay. Good start. Some edits to it, but good start overall. Let's go to Melissa's. I'm just checking the time, you guys. Make sure that I have time to get through the last 4 here. All right, Melissa Ricardis. Let's see. Blue is the color of tranquility. Cool. The color blue can be found almost everywhere, whether it's man-made or in nature, such as the burner in our stoves to the eye colors. Some people are born with it. Okay, I would just... so initially right away what I'm seeing is just too much is written. So let me take this. I can't edit it. So let me do this. The color blue can be found almost everywhere, whether it's man-made or in nature. Maybe you could rewrite this so it's one singular sentence and not 2 sentences, right? So I would do that because I like this fact, such as the burner in our stoves to the eye color some people are born with. Okay, the color blue can be found almost everywhere. So I would take out this section right here, whether it is man-made or in nature. Blue can be found almost everywhere, comma, such as a burner in our stoves, or no, you can have 2 to the eye color. I don't think you have to have this. But I think blue is the rarest eye color. One of them, gray or blue, green, blue, gray, rare eye colors. So the color blue can be found almost everywhere, such as the burner in our stoves to some people's eye color. That's what you could say. So take this, and move that right there in front of that. Everybody views the color blue differently. Some see it as melancholy with thunderous storms, while others see it cheery as a bright sunny sky. I think that's cool, but I think right here maybe you see maybe a different description. Everybody views the color blue differently. Some see it as melancholy with thunderstorms, while others see it as a big, beautiful ocean, right? Because a bright, sunny sky, I like this. It's not that it's bad, but it's like when you're describing the sun is yellow, even though you're talking about the sky, but the descriptive word is sunny here. And so you could say as the bright blue sky, or you could say the ocean, right? The deep blue ocean. which I think would be cool. But I think this is very close. It was very good. The color blue also covers most of our planet. It holds the largest animals in the world with ease and nurturing the coral reef. Animal in the world with ease and nurturing the coral reefs. I think this one could be just minimalized a little bit. I like where you're going here, right, with the blue whale, which is the largest mammal in the world that we know of in the ocean. The deep ocean where all the aliens are in the bottom of the ocean. Just kidding. A blue, by the way, Keith said, a blue rock in a basket on black rocks. Oh, the rarity one for Jesus. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, good. I like that idea actually, Keith. Jumping back, Jose or Jesus, to your one with the rarity, having like a bunch of black rocks and one blue rock can show the rarity of it. I really like that. I like that. Good call. And back to Melissa, you're here. The color blue also covers most of our planet. It holds the largest animal in the world with ease and nurturing the coral reef. You could have this part or this part. I think having the two of them will just mean a bunch of extra stuff in your video that you might not need. It can also be a symbol of wealth, as back then people compared the dye blue as valuable as gold for how difficult it was to gather. Okay, rarity seen again, right? It can be a symbol of wealth as so I would not say back then. I would say it can be a symbol of wealth as people compared the dye, the blue dye, right? Swap these around. Blue will go here. People compared the blue dye as valuable as gold for how difficult it was to gather. Okay, cool. Yeah, I would just reword this a little bit because the grammar doesn't make sense. But very good. And then this one, this looks really nice. I would just make this color because this color, this is the biggest problem, right? Is most people have like a couple colors that are too close. This one and this one are too close. So I would just lighten this color up a little bit. And then you'll be good. But that's a really nice, solid, like very deep, lustrous blue color palette. And I like it. And then let's get to your storyboard here. Where is it? Okay, right here. Cool. The blue balls are on the title will be moving, change in scale. I like that idea. I think that's really neat. They can be moving along a path, just kind of rotating around it. And then I'm going to I'm going to talk about the color blue. Like you could, this would be your introductory sentence. Blue is the color of tranquility, right? So that's what you could say there. Blue is the color of tranquility right here. And then it's going to transition into the next scene. The color blue can be found in, yes, perfect. This is, yep, this is exactly how you would do it. Okay, stove burning and a blue pouring over the stove. Or you could just do a blue burner. Then turns, ooh, you're thinking complex here. I like it. Then turns to droplets and then swirls into an eyeball. So maybe the burner, you could have an image of, I think this would be a little bit easier, is having an image of a burner. And we can maybe do a match cut here, right? So the image of the burner is on screen first, and then right when you're talking about the eye color, it spins and the eye, it turns into an eye, right? So I think you're kind of having the idea here. But the droplet thing, I'd have to see it to kind of understand it a little bit more. But I could see how if you have like a burner, right? The burner, same shape as an eye, very similar. And then you could scale out the eye. We could match cut it with a thing. But I like this idea here. Thinking about how to turn one object into another object, which is cool. The thunder's clouding the eye and raindrops going downwards. I think this is the appropriate thing for the raindrops. Moving downwards, then the clouds swiftly move away and the eye is cleared. I could see how you did that. Like maybe a thunderous dark, what does it say? Everybody views the color differently. Melancholy thunderstorms, while others see it as maybe you could say a beautiful night sky. And so then the thunderstorms zip away to reveal the you could get rid of here. What you could do, right, is a teardrop falls from the eye from the other scene, and we follow that teardrop and it falls and then clouds rush in to show the thing. I think that's what you're kind of thinking. And then I love the way you set your scenes up. This is great. This is perfect. And then the clouds move away to reveal a beautiful, like, starry night sky. I think that would be really cool. The stars could be a really light colored blue, and you could have just different. I could show you guys how to do a star. I think I did that last semester, like a star animation, a twinkling kind of thing. The camera view goes down underwater, right? Okay, so that moves down under the water, and a mother whale swims up with her baby following close behind. The camera goes lower and hits coral reef with little fish swimming by. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think you could take the coral reef thing out, but you could have the whale in there. I think that would be cool. Or you could do the coral reef on its own, but I think this is just kind of a run-on idea of the sentences, and it would just be the color blue also covers most of our planet. It holds the largest animals in the world with ease. Maybe to nurturing. Maybe you have in here it's like not but it's like to. The color blue also covers most of our planet. It holds the largest animals in the world. Maybe this part is what I'm not sure if I like the with ease part because it makes it sound big, but also it kind of is wordy. So when you're reading a voiceover, you don't want it to be too wordy, right? So it holds the largest animal in the world and nurtures coral reef. So you could put that nurtures coral reef. But I think that's a really cool idea with pushing the camera down. You're thinking of motion, a lot of movement, like falling, like moving, like you're almost falling through a stories of a building. Like if you took a building and you cut it in half and you're looking at it at the different stories and you just move that camera down to reveal the other scenes, and it's very consistent here, and you'll match the movement of some of these things up with it. I like that. The camera zooms into the fish and the scales turn into gems and gold. Okay. They then fall onto a table next to a blue tablecloth, and the camera pans to the right where there are fancy blue items. Okay, I like that idea. I think that's a good way to show that. Sweet. Really good job on this. Really good start on this. Here, I think there's just a couple changes that you can make, Melissa, to the script. But other than that, I really like the script with the storyboard. I think that it's strong and you've got a good start there. Let's see. Are you guys kind of understanding how I'm looking at this now? Let's go to Natalie's. All right, Natalie. Pink. You chose pink because it recently became one of your favorite colors and because it is older than what people think. Oh, I like that. I'm curious to know about it. Pink is the color of sweetness. That's cool. Venus, the god of love, beauty, and fertility, is often associated with the color pink. Beautiful. I love that. At first, pink was mostly worn by the rich because it used to be an expensive color to create. Okay, cool. Accidentally created by dropping red cinnamon candies into a large vat of traditional lemonade, it created the infamous pink lemonade. Oh, that is really, see, that's a really cool fact. I had no idea. I mean, obviously, it would taste like crap. I don't know anyone who would want cinnamon lemonade, but like the color of it sure made it really cool. Being one of the rarest diamonds, pink diamonds are formed from a distortion in their crystal structure. Structure. I'm gonna assume this is just accidental typo. Changing their colors. Cool. Yeah. Very good script. Very strong, concise, good sentences, hearty sentences there. Beautiful color palette. I'm into it. I don't even think you need to really lighten any of these. You could use like an even lighter version of this pink here, but I really like this overall. This color palette is very strong. Really good job there. All right, Natalie, let's get down to your thing here. A blob that is on screen. Pink is a color of sweetness. So when you're saying that, the blob is on screen and then it slowly becomes the base of a carnation and it reveals more petals. Neat. That would be really cool animation to do. I think that you could do that by a nice scaling rotation of each one of these petals. Like you'll bring the anchor point down to the base of the petal and you'll scale and rotate all of them depending on which direction they need to go, right? And I think that would be really nice. Pink is the color of sweetness. I'll allow you to have that text on screen. And it slowly reveals more petals. Then one petal falls and it makes a transition in the next scene. Love it. I'm into it. 2D assets of a blob carnation and carnation petals. Okay, cool. Harp sound effects for the flowers forming. I like that idea. Tweening, motion blur, rotation. Sweet. Pink is the color of sweetness. The petal from the previous scene is turned into a bird that flies over Venus and other birds fly. Cool. Like the birds kind of reveal. Venus would stay in place while parts of her hair and dress move. That is a smart idea. I like that idea because, you know, obviously she's not going to be moving around, but the hair thing, we can do that, and the dress thing, we can animate that as well. Sorry if my storyboards are messy. I'm not good at explaining some things. No, I love this. I think it's great. I can visually see what you're talking about. You coming in here all sly up into this chat. I'm just messing with you. I think this is strong. I think this is a strong visual here. Do you understand what I mean by having like each one of the petals is kind of going to bloom? You're going to bloom this flower. So they're going to maybe start like the blob can bloom these petals out of it. Or maybe it's a bud. You can maybe start with like a flower bud and they slowly come out and rotate to create this flower. Maybe we could look into something to maybe make that look interesting in a different way. But I like this idea. The thing that I see a lot in your, and I just want you to be aware of this, in your video is morphing. So morphing is when you move from one shape to another shape in a motion, right? It doesn't, there is no cuts happening on screen. It like goes from one to the other shape. You can try that with path animations and stuff, but I'm going to let you guys know it's time consuming and it can be a little difficult to do. It takes practice. And so with that being said, maybe we can think about a way to hide it, right? So maybe the feather or maybe the petal drops down. It comes to wipe the scene into like maybe as it falls down, it reveals the next scene where the birds are flying around and you have her hair, her standing there. But I think this is really cool. We can work with it to see what you have time for, right? Next scene here. A feather from the previous scene. Okay, wait. Venus would stay apart. Yes, that's cool. A feather from the previous scene lands into a man's hat and pans out to show people talking. I love that idea. While moving, the fruit on the cake falls, transitioning to the next scene. Neat. I think that this, if you're going to have people, remember, you don't want a ton of, I like that it's from the waist up. Remember what I was saying in the beginning of class? A great way to hide that is no walking, but from the waist up, if you visualize a person, then you can easily just have their arms and their head moving around. And that would be perfectly fine. I like this though. At first, pink was mostly worn by the rich because it was used to be an expensive color to create. It used to be an expensive color to create. All right, I like that. The cherry or something falls off, dives into that. Good job. Very consistent. The reason I like this is because all these ideas are very cohesive, and you're kind of like, again, that dropping the idea of things falling into the next thing. And it's just we're expecting it, and so when we see it, it's visually stimulating. I think this is a good idea. It falls into the lemonade, and then it sinks down and turns it pink. Cool. I like that. Sorry, I think I'm being a little extra with this project. This is a big project, right? So it might not, right? This is just a roadmap to your project. So things might change, right? Some of these ideas, you have to think, do I have time for this stuff? I think the morphing things are going to be the hardest. But I think the rest of them is just creating stuff and really just following it with the camera. I don't think it's extra. I think it's just smart the way you've thought about everything and how you've thought to move. Here's the thing that is smart about this is you're moving objects that are a similar shape in one scene to the next, right? So the feather off the bird falls on and becomes a feather in a man's hat. So you're linking these two ideas and these two scenes together with one image. And that's smart. That's thinking smart about how you're doing something. So this is really good. I really like all this. This would be really good to do in 3D, actually. I think the diamond would be the smartest thing to do, especially if you're rotating and you're turning this object. I would do this in 3D because I don't see vector and raster illustrations, a 3D chandelier. I would nix that idea. Because if you just show people in Victorian clothing, it's going to show they're rich. So I would nix the 3D chandelier. I would do just the people talking with like the fruit thing in there. The fruit falls down. It becomes the thing in the lemonade, like the cinnamon candy in the lemonade. And then that's going to scale out and it's going to reveal this diamond thing, which is going to be a gem inside of Cinema 4D. And this will be the easiest way to do that. Because if you're illustrating, you can do it. I'm not saying you can't get a 2D illustrated diamond or like gemstone. It's possible, but you have to do a lot of path animations with it, and it's just so much less time consuming to do it all in 3D for this one. And so I think you could wrap the last scene up in 3D. Really good job though. Impressive. I think that if you pull it off, it'll be great. And you can start on your assets right away and just update a little bit of that script and you'll be good to go. All right, let's go to Jade's. Cool. Green. We're going to pick green. Green is the color of nature, the color of luck, and it's also the color of Jade, your lovely name. You know, I actually know someone else named Jade, so I love that name. I think it's beautiful. Green is the color of nature. Green symbolizes life and afterlife, growth and resurrection for the ancient Egyptians. Life, the after. That's a good sentence. It symbolizes. It's a symbol of wealth, rebirth, fertility, health, and harmony. Green is another lucky color in Chinese culture. I think you could just swap this sentence around a bit. So green. So you could be like, green is another lucky color in Chinese culture. Period. It's a symbol of wealth, rebirth, fertility, health, and harmony. So just swap that sentence around. Green is also the color of jade. So obviously you want to know how to create a like jade object inside of Cinema 4D. So we'll go through that, and then we'll also go through how to create like a diamond inside of Cinema 4D as well for you, Natalie. This is the luckiest and most valuable stone in Chinese culture, known as the Stone of Heaven. I love that. That's beautiful. I think your script is really strong, Jade. Your color palette looks as well very, very strong, because you have this nice dark green, another green, very distinct. Like, I can differentiate all of the colors from each other. And this is the biggest thing when choosing your color palettes. The only thing that I would say is this color is really bright, but I don't mind it. So you can keep all these the same. I like these colors. I think this, you have a lot of contrast in this palette, similar to Natalie's and similar to Lena's ones with the contrasted in them. It's very strong. Okay, let's move down here. Here is a storyboard. Perfect. All right, so green is the color of nature, such as grass, trees, and leaves. Okay, cool. You'll want to have green is the color of nature. Yep, such as grass, trees, and leaves. I like that. Perfect. I was just had to reread your introductory color or sentence here, and then I realized it's part of that. From the color palette, transition to the forest with fall leaves. Okay, that's cool. You could do the leaves animating along a path. I'm going to assume that. Rotation and zooming out. You could do this as well as the path animations. I think that would be cool with the leaves. White background with the palette of green. And obviously you're going to have trees and stuff in there as well. All right, description. The next scene. Transition, the money, then heart is bouncing, then the face of the person with envy and emotion. So you're going to animate all of these on the screen somehow. Let me see. Blur. I think these could animate on screen. We could rethink of something a little bit more common. Let's see. Common association with the color green are money, health, and envy. Yeah, I mean, you could have the dollar bill on there, the heart. Maybe things are spinning and changing at the same time. So we'll do some match cuts here. So I definitely want to think about match cuts. I need to make a list of the things I need to teach you guys. And I've got one more after this, so hopefully you don't go over in class. Let's see here. I'm going to create a new document. Color scope. Lena, what was the one we were talking about? Let's see here. Okay. Creating stones in Cinema 4D, so like jades and diamonds. This will also help for anything anyone else has in there. Oh, the rocket. That's the one we were talking about. How to create a rocket and explode in 3D. Like a firework, right? Almost creating a firework. Firework and confetti. 3D and AE for that one. And then I think there was one that we were talking about from like a stove burner. Maybe if we get to that, we can do that to an eye. I'm just going to kind of make some notes here. All right, so this one will be okay. I think we can work with that. Kind of, but I wanted to explode in a flash, which would give way to the confetti, if that makes sense. Okay, that's fine. So a firework, like a rocket explosion. Okay. Zoom into the heart, and then gold is dropping and a baby is crying, because this is in Chinese culture, we're going to reword this, right, is a symbol of wealth, rebirth, fertility, health, and harmony. Zoom art of the heart, it's dropping, the gold is dropping and a baby's crying. On the gold, there's a symbol of a 4-leaf clover. Okay, cool. Maybe you could do those in 3D, although I know you wanted to do the jade in 3D, and zoom into it followed by a Chinese building. Just flip those around, right? So maybe the building, right? So maybe the heart transition we don't need there, but the building pops up. We could do like a scale and rotation animation for that, or you can kind of build it on screen. And because we're going to rewrite this sentence, right? Green is another lucky color in Chinese culture. It symbolizes of wealth, rebirth, fertility, and health. And then you can have maybe the building moves off screen, and then it shows those things like the coin, the baby, and maybe for harmony we'll have to just think of something else. But I like the ideas of this here. It just needs to be readjusted and moved around a little bit. All right, and then the third scene here. Green is also the color of jade. A person passes by the building and picks up a jade. Maybe we could have the jade, because we're going to have to think of this. And you don't really want to walk animation, so we have to rethink this one here. So green is the color of, also the color of jade. Maybe the jade pops out of all these coins, like the coins all fall down and then it reveals the jade. I think that would be a cool way to do it, because we're going to reverse these scenes. We're going to reverse the shots in these scenes, right? And then the last one, this is the luckiest and most valuable stone in Chinese culture, known as the stone of heaven. And you're going to zoom to the jade stone in the heaven scene. Okay, so like that will have like some kind of shining thing happening outside of it, and maybe like, I don't know, pearly gates, or however the Chinese culture views heaven, right? You could depict that. I think that's cool. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, solid. I think there's a little bit of edits that need to be done here, but a solid base to it. Good job, Jade. You guys are doing a good job. A couple of us need a little bit more work than others, but we're getting there, right? All right, Keith. Black. Black is a color of many sentiments, evil, the occult, and death, to name a few. Ooh, this one's going to be dark. Fun. Black is one of the most used colors in art, from pens to pencils and even photography. I believe I can do a lot with black and concept of madness. Okay, cool. Ooh, this is cool. Good. I like the idea of this. I see there's a couple different cool things. So let's go one at a time here. Black is the color of power and fear. Before life, there was nothing, an endless sea of black nothing. But it all changed from an explosion. I think you could just remove this part. Before life, there was an endless sea of nothing. That's what I say. You could say an endless sea of nothing. Did you know black is the first color and is the first color used by our ancestors? That's awesome. Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, black and white, the no space, emptiness. Um, yeah, because when you think of emptiness, you just think of like black. So I like this. I think this could just be written a little bit different. So, um, before there was an endless sea of black, before there was an endless sea of black nothing, but it all changed from an explosion. I would rewrite it like that. The beauty of the stars and colors were created by the explosion in the nothingness of black space. But if it wasn't for the black, our stars wouldn't shine so brightly every night. I think this part is not necessary. Let's remove that part of the sentence because that's where the colors come in and we don't want to bring that in there. So maybe we rewrite this sentence, right? So the beauty of the stars, maybe say the beauty of the stars and the moon, right? Because we can talk about the moon because the moon looks beautiful against the dark sky. The beauty of the stars and the moon, uh, or maybe what you could say is here: if it wasn't for for the black sky, right? Our stars and moon wouldn't shine so bright every night. You could rewrite that. I wrote multiple mostly because I have horrible commitment issues. At least you know yourself, right? um I would rewrite this. So if there's something else you like, you could do this, but you could do that. But this could work. I just think it needs to be rewritten. Like if it wasn't for the blackness of the sky at night, our stars wouldn't shine so bright, or something like that. It could be rhyming. You could do it in like Edgar Allan Poe type of, which by the way, Edgar Allan Poe is super associated with black. History of the color black. Idea 2. This might be the one. Okay. Black was a symbol in ancient Egypt and Greece as a color of the underworld. And after centuries, it is still associated with death, occult, and fear. I like this one. I think this one could go into place of this. If you didn't want to do this, maybe you could just go right into this one. You definitely agree. Okay. You could also do this one first, like were talking about, then do the rewritten one that we said, and then go into black. Was the symbol in ancient Egypt and Greece. I would just cut out this part right here. That's so genius. Yes, my favorite writer. Yes. Yeah, but yeah, Edgar Allan Poe. You could throw something in there if you wanted to about him. But I like this idea of it was a symbol of ancient Egypt and Greece as a color of the underworld, and after centuries it is still associated with death, occult, and fear. I think that's cool. And but I would just definitely get rid of this section because it's just kind of a run on from it. I'm not saying it's not good information. It's just since we're doing such a short video, I would take that out. And then so this would be your first scene, right? Black is the color of power and fear. We got to figure out whatever you would put there. And then here would be your next. It all changed from the explosion. Scene 1, scene 2 here. This would be your scene 3, and this would be your scene 4, is what I'm taking from this. The color black hides what you may not consider beautiful. For example, in the fashion world, black is used to make one look thinner for that important dinner plans or for the ones you love. I think that's one of the weaker sentences here. Black is worn by judges for the power. I think that one's cool. This is already better than this one. I would just get that one. Oh, I can erase. Oh, yeah. Is this a Word document? How did I not see that? Okay, so take this out. I'm just going to kind of do this as we go. The beauty of the stars when we're created. Okay, I'm just going to highlight this so you rewrite it, like we were saying. But I like this one. Well, you'll just know we're talking right now. So erase this. Black is worn by judges for the power they hold to imprison or free. I think that black can mean happiness, like a wedding day or tragedy of a lost loved one. I think this one, I don't even know if you need this, all of this. Black is worn by judges for the power they hold to imprison or to free. Maybe say, erase this and period. This is a good ending sentence. It holds significance in CE in our modern day life. This is kind of just like it's just like your comment on it. So maybe I would change this a little bit. I'm still thinking and writing ideas for my design. I wanted to stick with beauty in the nothingness. I greatly appreciate the help when it comes to setting it up. I'm more scatterbrained versus making things. That's okay. That's why I do this process here, so that we know. Your color palette is strong. I like the color palette. And then you can pick one accent color, like I was saying. But I think you're there almost, right? It just needs a little bit of editing down. And then the screen is pure black, and then the explosion revealing beautiful colors. Again, the color thing we don't want, because it's monochromatic, and if I start letting you add colors, then I gotta let everyone else add colors, so let's just not do that. So we're gonna have to rethink that one, but I think you're like moving into the correct direction. Eyes slowly appear before transitioning to the next scene. Fear is the scene. I think that's cool, like the eyes coming out of it, right? Fear, this scene will show smoke in the white background. The black smoke will turn and move into weird shapes, and is supposed to play with the mind to see things, kind of like a Rorschach. We could do there's an effect inside of After Effects where you have like it's called the kaleidoscope effect, and we could do something on that. Do I have preferences on the other color? No, whatever color you want. Just make sure it's not going to if you're using it as an accent, right? Remember, it's an accent color, so don't use it a ton. And then also, you don't want it so dark that it falls into the black. Do you know what I mean? That like you can't see it because of the black. I think the smoke thing might be a little different, but maybe we could do a Rorschach type of stuff here. We could try and figure that. I think that would be cool. All right. I want to show the good and the evil in this final or close scene. We'll show a cult in the circle, and then a nun will walk covering the scene with her black nun outfit. I don't think we're doing that one, right? Ancient Greece, and then worn by the judges. Scene 4, the eyes that have been watching you during this finally come out, and it's puppy. That is, show the darkness that can hide beautiful things. We'll have to update your scenes, right? So I would just reword this stuff and then update the scenes according to that. And stick along this, because I like the idea for the judges, right? Holding the power. So you can show a gavel. You can show a judge just sitting there with like in a robe. Prison bars fall down, I don't know, or freedom that happens. And it holds significance in our modern day life. You might have to just drop this sentence unless you can rewrite it to have like another fact in here instead of just kind of like leaving it like that. But other than that, it's a really good start. I think you're getting there. Obviously, we need more for the storyboard, but you're close, right? And I think once you rewrite all of that stuff, you'll be good. I'll update the idea and stick the power theme, and I can fix that. Sweet. Sweet. Awesome. You guys did a really good job on this. I'm going to write that. So for class for Tuesday, We are going to have let us do, I want to hear the voice, like start getting your voiceovers and your assets and stuff done. What's due next week? Um let me see here real quick. What did I talk about with you, Lena? What we're seeing. Yeah, finishing up the custom 3-scene animation and start working on your guys' assets for these color scopes. Make the changes to your scripts and stuff that I've given you in this class today. And then I would start doing the color scope thing, and then I'm going to post the module that I want to hear what you guys might want to do for like some techniques that you want to do. Yes, the assets, like starting on the assets. If I approved your script right away with very minimal changes, start recording your VO. That's what I would like to see. Finish the custom 3-scene. Start on assets, start on the voiceover if you do, or if not, if you're not at that phase yet, update your storyboard and update your script to be whatever we talked about. And then if you want to run it by me again, send it to me in Slack and we'll go over it. And then next week we'll start on like techniques and putting things together and working on that. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving. Do you guys have any more questions before I let you go? I appreciate you guys staying a little bit extra. So for the color scope, is there a hard due date for the VO and making all the assets? I would start now because there's going to be a hard due date on the rest of the class. What I'll do is I'll post a module like tomorrow that has hard deadlines for the assets and the assets. I'm not going to make you guys turn in, so you're just going to have to do that, but I do want to hear the VOs, so I'll post something with the voiceovers. I'll also post something about an animatic. You guys don't have to do the animatics, but it's good to watch so that you guys can understand what they are in the process of it. But I think we're going to skip the animatics. But there's still good information in there. And also, what is in there is a huge document full of tons of sound effects. So maybe what I'll do is I'll move that into its own little module, or I'll just direct you on where that goes. But yeah, I'll post the thing about techniques. I will post the module about the voiceover, having the voiceover done and reading that so I can go over those with you guys. And then yeah, make sure you get those custom 3 scenes in. So really good job on these. I'm excited to see them when they're all done. Everyone's like, some really like challenging ideas here that I think if you guys can do them will turn out really cool. But do you guys have any questions? Moving forward, there's going to be hard due dates on everything pretty much because we need to stick to a schedule. Looks like no questions. All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys have a wonderful long weekend. I know there's still work to be done, but I hope you guys find time to relax and just enjoy time being with family and stuff. I think you should pick dark accent color for black. Everything's gonna make it pop. I would not pick a dark accent color. I would pick like a more saturated one, right? Like any kind of saturated, like a blue, like as long as it's saturated, it just doesn't want to fall into the color black. Like I want to be able to see it and differentiate it from the other colors. So as long as it's, as long as I can differentiate it, you can pick it. But yeah. Thank you guys. Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. I'll see you guys later. Okay. Night. Bye.